Hey folks, welcome to this month's version of the Bravo Zulu live stream feature review. What we're going to do here is take a load of the feature suggestions that have come in the last month or so, and we're going to talk through them. So the ideal people to join me on this call are Mario. Mario is our Chief Technology Officer. Hey Mario, how you doing?
Hello, hi everyone. All good, thanks, Robin.
Excellent. Mario is currently in Italy. He's joined us from annual leave. Thank you very much, Mario. What's
Yeah.
the weather like, Mario?
Oh, it's very hot at the moment. Not as hot as actually a few weeks ago, where they got 40 degrees, around 40 degrees. Right now it's around 34, but indoor with an air conditioning is fine.
Yeah, nice.
So it is great actually, and it's great to see some sun after weeks of rain that we got in Ireland. So it's a nice change of scenery.
I'm joining today from the southwest of Ireland, and it's raining and cold today. Um, let's see what it's like in America. Thierry, how you doing? Hey,
Hi guys. Right now here it's nice and sunny. I'm in Pennsylvania. The weather is about 22 Celsius or 72 Fahrenheit. It's much cooler than it has been in the last few weeks. We had lots of days in the around 30, so over what pretty close to 90. So it's pretty comfortable today.
so Thierry is our Canadian in America. Thierry, you're on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, yeah, Pennsylvania. I'm about kind of a equal distance between New York City and Philadelphia.
Excellent. Well, guys, should we look at some of these feature suggestions that have come in? What do we have? Thanks as well. In the background today is Amy and Katie, who are controlling our cameras and all the slides. So thanks, guys, for arranging this. Okay. Oh, we launched the new single sign-in tool. Mario, it'd be great to go over some of the benefits of that for
Yeah,
people.
absolutely. So a couple of weeks ago, we rolled out to production one of the probably largest and most important updates to our systems in the last 2-3 years, I'd say. So the update included our new authentication system, and at the same time moved all our applications to the .com domain, the D4H.com domain. Before they were scattered actually between D4H.live and D4H.org. Now we normalized, let's say, we unified that under the D4H.com domain. So a quick reminder of what the new authentication system is about and what are the advantages for our users. So first of all, it introduces the ability to share the same set of credentials between all of our products. So before, each user had to have different credentials for each product.
Which is painful, right? I know that pain myself. We've all got password managers, and if you don't have one, get one. So we use one password at D4H, but that remembers all our sign-ins for different systems. But I mean, it's still painful, right? You've changed your password in multiple places on D4H to your email address or whatever it might be.
Yeah, exactly. It's a massive simplification, and yeah, it's especially for people who don't use a password manager. Again, as you said, that people we really recommend for people to use a password manager, but for people who don't, that's extra difficult. But
I think for people to understand as well where we want this to be is we want you just to see D4H. Don't be worrying about which product or which domain. Or you think D4H, you go to d4h.com and you sign in and you're into everything we can do for you. That's what we want.
Correct. This is really the first step into that direction of having one unified platform, where it feels, as you said, it's D4H. It's not team manager, it's not operations center. It's just D4H. So this is really the first step into that direction. And yeah, I know that a lot of users are gonna be very happy just to have this single feature, having a single password and a single set of credentials for all our products.
I see multi-factor authentication on that list.
Yeah.
Why is that important? I mean, for somebody who's never used that before, why is it important?
Well, it's mainly it protects people against phishing attacks. Well, phishing attacks, in the case the password that gets in some way compromised. There is also this second layer of authentication, which is usually, so the password is something you remember. The second layer should be something that you own, as it is, for example, your phone, right? So usually you scan a code with your phone, and the phone starts generating these single-use authentication codes that you can use only once. Once that's been used, of course, you cannot use it again. And that actually adds an extra layer of protection. It's pretty much the standard nowadays.
Yeah.
To protect user accounts.
And that can now, for anyone who's migrated over to the new sign-in, and don't worry about it if you haven't. There's no requirement to do it at the moment. They're able to turn on multi-factor authentication, and we'll either let them generate a code on their phone in an authenticator app, or we'll send them a text message every time they log in with a code to prove it's them.
Correct. We currently have both the opportunity to have both types of multi-factor authentication. So we always recommend people to use the Authenticator app, which is thought to be more secure.
And also, I would add that it's also more convenient because nowadays most of the apps you can use for that, like Google Authenticator or Authy, they will sync your keys between devices. And so if you lose or damage your device, your primary device, you can still get that authorization token from your secondary device, as opposed to if you lose your primary phone with a text message. It's kind of hard to do it until you replace that phone and transfer your message. So I would, really encourage people to use the QR code app for that.
Yeah.
What's the overall security improvements? I mean, it might maybe can you give that as a simplification?
Simplification, like on how much secure it is compared to this.
And why is it more secure?
Yeah, like imagine that your password, you are reusing your password. This is not recommended, of course, but many people still do it. You're using a password on another platform, and that password gets compromised in a data leak. So if you don't have any other layer of authentication, an attacker would be just able to take that password and sign into your account, and that's done. While if you have a second layer of authentication, only the password wouldn't do nothing, because the other layer of authentication is in your phone and is completely different, disconnected, let's say, from other platforms. So the two-factor authentication code would still be secure, and you would be able to protect your account. Your account would still be protected, essentially, with that second layer of authentication. So
our new sign-in system, it's rebuilt from the ground up. It's custom built around the needs of our users in terms of functionality, security levels. We're leaning on some of the Amazon Web Services managed services, so absolute best practice for storage of credentials, and authenticating people and authorizing people into the applications. So it's a really big foundation piece for us, and we're very pleased with it. There's a note on the bottom there talking about the SAML across all products. That's where we can connect up your work account. So you can sign in with your normal username and password from your Google account or from your Microsoft 365 account, whatever it might be, and access our products.
Correct.
Okay, we've got a bunch of questions coming in here. Amy, thanks for putting them up on screen. This is Charles McRobert. Okay. Let's see. Oh, this looks like a bug, right? PDF print order is different from the checklist order. Checklist PDF.
This must be the Operations Center Incident Management, I think. Must be.
I think it might be equipment checklists, because I see other equipment.
Equipment. Yeah.
Comments. So
Might
that's a
be.
good one. We'll document it down. Correct. They should be in the same order. I think is completely reasonable. Allow images to be attached. Sorry, I didn't say at the start. This is a live session. You can ask questions. Just put a comment on any of the video streams you're watching. That's on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on X.com. I nearly said it wrong. If you're on Twitter or now X.com, anywhere. I'm trying to think where else we're live, but anywhere you're watching this video, if you reply in the comments, they'll pop up here in front of us, and we'll take them live. Terry, do you want to answer this one? What are you seeing here?
Yes, we've been discussing to basically add attachments to more places, including checklists. So that would be, I definitely think it's doable. We'll discuss prioritization, but this is something that we can do.
That's it. So Charles, I think you're with Mourne Mountain Rescue. Is if you're who I think you are, and so Mourne's Mountain Rescue actually based in Ireland, northeast of Ireland. If I've got that right, Charles, that you're Mourne's. I think you are. So they're north of Dublin here. Yep, MMRT, perfect. So it's very interesting to hear you using the checklists for equipment. It sounds like for compartments of vehicles. That's what I'm seeing there. So images attached, so you can print off a checklist, maybe with a layout. Is it a layout of the compartment? So it's one picture against the checklist. So this equipment in this checklist should be laid out like this in the compartment of the vehicle. It sounds like what you're trying to do there. I like it. Have the same use myself. Would be good.
Yeah. And from a technical perspective, we already attach documents to entities, right? So this be like attaching documents just to another entity. Is that correct, Jerry?
Yes, yeah. It's kind of generic the way it's built, so we just need to essentially show it in the interface to make it possible to do it. That's why it doesn't seem too difficult to me. Definitely achievable.
And since we're talking about attachments and files, I'd say I think we should mention a huge update that is coming in the following weeks, I'd say, which is we are changing how we store files on our end. So we're going to store the files on a cloud platform, at least for Team Manager. So Operations Center was already using a cloud system. And this means that users are going to be able to upload files really of any size. We probably set some limit at the beginning, probably going to be around 500 megabytes to 1 gigabyte. But this is going to mean, it's going to mean, users are going to be able to upload larger files faster, and they're going to also be more secure and resilient. So it's going to be a huge improvement. It's coming up in the next few weeks.
Yes, in particular to upload videos and stuff like that. It will make it possible, because right now the limit on Team Manager is relatively low.
One of Charles's pieces here is allow a URL or link instead of a document upload attached to something. I think it'll come up here. Yeah. So instead of uploading the video to us, just linking to the public video on YouTube. So these are the instructions for this device, for example. So it's a little bit like a bookmark, I guess, instead of a document.
Yeah, which is
Terry, this
something
is in my memory. We've looked at this before.
Yeah, this is something that Mario, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure this is something that's possible to have in the library and in Operations Center.
Right. Yeah.
And so we've been discussing the possibility of storing that exactly as a bookmark, like you said, Robin, sort of as a document as well, or attachment. We've discussed it. At the moment, there hasn't been a lot of requests for it, so it was kind of further down the line. But the use of that for instructions for a video like this is a good use case of how it would be useful.
Right, we could embed it from known players as well, rather than
Right.
Yeah.
At the moment, we are not showing. I think we are not previewing those bookmarks in OC in our operation center.
So the scenario here, particularly with equipment, would be I scan the barcode on the item and I press view attachments to see if there's an instruction manual. And one of the instructions manual is the YouTube video of how to use it by the manufacturer. And we could put those in documents. So if it doesn't have an attachment, you can either have a file attachment to a document or a link, and it just embeds it.
Yeah. And another related feature that has been discussed was link custom fields, to be able to have arbitrary links as custom fields as attributes. So rather than having something in documents, you could have that as a mandatory field to add the YouTube video right there.
Similar to what we have in Operations Center, right?
Yes. Yeah, try to bring over a little bit more parity between the two.
Yeah, and that makes sense, especially if we are going to synchronize file fields from Operations Center to Team Manager, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
Interesting. We'll stay on Charles's one here. There was a compartment to contain. I think this is in a checklist in the thread of comments. Allow vehicle compartments, allow a kind to be contained an item.
Yeah, I mean, Robin, we've this. We have, this is for the checklist as well. I think we've discussed kind of a rework of the checklists to make them more versatile. So I don't know how much we're ready to mention about that yet. To make them more flexible for that kind of request.
Could we bring up the stock take of supplies one, Amy, and that should wrap up that set of ones, because I know there's David's got one here as well. There's one that's stock take of supplies via the app. So we do have a new version of the equipment app. I believe is that released, Mario, with the it is with the activity usage.
The activity usage, I think so. Yeah.
I think that's released. Yeah, it's on our updates page. What you can do now is so the stock. It's not quite a stock take in terms of going in and counting everything, and I understand that's what you're asking for. But we have just released the ability to go and on an activity mark equipment as used. So if you go into usage on the mobile app, and you're able to say we use 5 supply of a certain supply, and it will dock the bundle with that supply, and it creates the activity, the incident. So you can arrive at an incident, you can press add new incident, you can scan with the barcode the equipment as it's going out. It'll create a list of what was used, any consumables, and it docks that off your totals. So that's there, but I understand that's not a stock take that you're looking for. But I totally get this as well, going around adjusting all of the quantities. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Duncan. David Wilson, I think, was talking about single sign-on. And Mario, this might be one you could cover. An easy way to swap and change between the different products, i.e. between Team Manager and Operations Center.
Yeah,
David, I love you. You've got the new terminology already. If people are slowly noticing, we're trying to give everything a proper name. So Team Manager and Operations Center are the platforms.
Yeah, that's great to see indeed. Yeah, an easy way to swap between the two. So initially this was going to go in with the new authentication system. Then we scaled it down a little bit just to make sure that we got everything right, let's say, and working perfectly. But this is definitely something we are planning to introduce. Essentially, the new authentication system introduces a menu on the top right side of the top right corner of your screen. So that menu is shared across Operations Center and Team Manager. And at the moment, it allows you to manage your user mainly and switch between different users. So if you have two users, you can just click, you can just sign in with another user and then be able to switch with the other user seamlessly, just with a click. In the same widget, we are planning to introduce some sort of product switcher as well. So people can easily switch between products. Yeah, we are currently designing that. We don't have a final design, but that's definitely coming in some way or another.
Excellent. Let's get the slides back up. It's great to get the live questions. And anything we don't get to that comes in live, we'll cover on the next update, which is what some of these we are doing now. Okay, I think was it Gina or Alicia first? So I saw this one and I wondered if the issue, I think at the moment you just have to delete the period. I think you can click on it and delete it. But maybe you can't edit it. So I know, Gina, if you're online and you're watching, a little more info and we'll definitely answer. Let's hit the next one. Alicia, ability to see who didn't attend an event and provide regrets. I've heard this one quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's even useful in general if we could put a comment field on an attendance row, like a general comment field that lets you record notes. You know, it might be as simple as coming late or you know, some custom note. I think that would be pretty useful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's a quite common use case. I'm not sure from a technical perspective what that means, Jerry, but it doesn't sound tremendously complicated. Probably, I mean, everything can really spiral out of control, really, in terms of complexity, isn't it? So, but yeah, what's your view there, Jerry?
Yeah, either providing a command field or more of a drop-down selection would definitely be achievable. I think my main concern at this point is we already have on the attendance page, we already have quite a long, a complex form because each individual row has the name, the role, the start and end time, a bunch of actions. So I would be conscious of making that too complex. So we'll have some good thinking to make it easy to use. But otherwise, technically, it seems doable.
One of the gaps I see in it is we don't effectively save what the member intention was after you approve it. So if the member says they'll be there, that's what you're approving, or if you say they'll be there, that's what you're approving. We don't have like a member said this was the outcome, approve that, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the feature we have for that, but we definitely have a feature in the
I see Duncan saying a little bit more there in the comments as well of what to do. Do you delete them off the list because they weren't meant to be there, but it's not clear, and maybe we need another status of something where there's a I don't know exactly what it's like absent with reason or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Is this the same Duncan? Terry, you've seen this one come up again and again.
Yeah. This is a fairly complex one. We have absolutely interest in doing that. I would say we might as well go as far as say we will do it. But yeah, that is a complex one, so I can't commit on when that's going to be done. But we want to do it because there's tons of requests and tons of different types of customers as well that could use it. So that's a yes.
So what this is effectively you need qualification A, B, and C to have qualification D or something like that. Like it's a
Yeah,
multi-part. That's my understanding of the need.
there's that, and the other aspect to it is also kind of the alternative qualification. So, for
A or
instance,
B.
yeah, so like if you are, for instance, an EMT, then you don't need your first aid. The EMT kind of supersedes the first aid. So currently, you kind of have to work around that, and that would make it a whole lot easier. And another example that we've received was when people kind of reshape the structure of the qualifications, where they have like a 2020 edition of their charge, and then they have a 2022. And so if someone already has the previous one and it hasn't expired, they don't necessarily need the new one, but they cannot award the old one anymore. The old one remains valid, but they cannot award it. So they kind of a way to supersede. So that's why it's a pretty complex one, especially for when it comes to tying that with the groups as well and reporting and expectations. It's a pretty big one, but it's something that will be powerful to make it much easier to manage, especially for like training officers and those kind of positions.
So I see Duncan saying there exactly as you said, Thierry. Duncan is in North Cumbria Rescue and Response, I think, and they're saying you need it heavily for the modules 1, 2, 3, and 4, water qualifications, first aid, and search. And I think it's probably exactly as you're describing there.
Yeah.
So I think we'd say we're very aware of this, and it's a global need. We hear this, and I mean we don't have a timeline on it, and it's not a 2023 thing as far as I'm aware, Mario. But
No.
we are definitely hearing it.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's not in the 2023 plan at the moment, but it's definitely on top of our list in terms of priorities. We've seen this being reported and requested quite a few times at this point. So yeah, we understand that this is an important one. So we'll get there. I was wondering, so what would be the workaround for these at the moment? Would be just create another qualification that combines two different qualifications, like. So if we have EMT, let's say paramedic and advanced paramedic, is it like creating another certification which combines the two? If there is a workaround.
I think the solution that starts with the groups, where I think it's an expectation. So the qualifications should remain the physical paperwork tickets. You do have A or B, and you're awarded one of them, and then but we set up the expectations of a group membership. So medics need A or B, or A and B, and that's what makes them be allowed to be in a group, basically. And we should be making groups dynamic groups as well that automatically create out of people with certain qualifications rather than just highlighting they expire.
Yeah, which is another request as well. That ties into that, but it's another request that I remember we outlawed.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, because people use the groups to add people to attendance, for instance, and so having them refresh automatically would make it a whole lot easier to be like request all medics or request team manager, search managers or similar.
These fonts, I guess, suggestions here at the start from Brendan. I think these are we've recently released some rich text functionality in all of our products except incident management, I think, is where this is probably targeted at, I guess.
Well, in Team Manager, we haven't released that everywhere, right? We just cover a few fields, yes, essentially. So the two things. One, it'd be interesting to know if they want this also in more fields in Team Manager, and even encourage everyone here on watching this live stream, if you want to see rich text editing in more places in Team Manager, just let us know so we can essentially prioritize what to work on next. So we have the component ready. We just apply it to any field in any other entity. We just have to know what's the request and if it's really.
Amy, have we any more info of where Brendan, which team or organization Brendan's with, and we might be able to guess the scenario a bit better?
Because one concern with that is we always want to make sure that everything is easy to use and simple, so we don't want it to be clutter. And so that's why we don't want to add it everywhere. But of course, wherever it's useful, I think like having that on the whiteboard would be a logical next step.
I'd like. I think what I see in color, if we're talking about incident management, I see people using color for things like documenting what's new on a revision. So they want to say everything in red is new in the last briefing, or highlight something that's changed, or highlight something important in a large piece of text is typically where I see it.
Yeah, another use case that I've seen is that people might copy paste formatted text and they lose formatting as, for example, the lists, numbered lists, which they would lose that formatting and it wouldn't look as good as the formatted version of the text. Because you can go around that, right? For example, for lists, you can just put some dashes at the beginning or some bullets at the beginning of each item, but you have to do that manually. So I agreed that there might be the need there of some rich text editing. We just have to understand how important that is and what's the use case, right? Because probably we can do the same thing in a better way, right? As you mentioned, if people use it to mark changes, to highlight changes, probably that's something we can do there to automatically highlight changes between different revisions, right?
The other one, uploading images into passages of text to document certain things. I can see if somebody was writing a pre-plan or something like that, or a large. I mean, using it as a word processor effectively. You might have extra images to add in. Interesting.
Yeah, I guess as people start using Operation Center for more and more complex pre-planning tasks, we might need something more powerful there in that regard. Like editing rich text.
Survey 123. At the moment, what you're able to do, and if you're not familiar, it's an Esri add-on product where users go out with an app and collect up survey geographic area and collect up information through forms. You can currently export your survey 123 data as a CSV file, a comma separated file, and import that straight into a status board in incident management if you have the field names matching. So that works seamlessly today. It's very quick. And automatically linked to an incident in order to allow for the tasking of agencies. I wonder how. I don't know enough about it to understand this. Buffer needs.
To an incident. It would be probably equivalent as importing that CSV file in a specific incident in a status board, no? So you can task it different agencies or different personnel.
So that's it. I'm looking at Andrew is with Christchurch City Council, New Zealand. 3:35 a.m. So I do not expect him to be on here live. And it sounds like they'd be using Survey 123 or would like a replacement for Survey 123. Standing there with a tablet or a laptop and collecting up, registering people who need welfare. And at the moment they're using Survey 123, but would like that to integrate better. Yeah,
absolutely. And we're definitely always interested, in these integrations, especially when they're so popular as Survey 123, because it just makes people's life so much easier, instead of doing things manually. So again, I don't think this is in this year's plan, but it's high on our priority list. Another comment on integrations, probably is related, is that Operation Center now has an API, public API. So I don't think we publicly announced it yet, but that will come soon. But that will make creating integrations, even for third-party integrations, much easier to our customers. If they don't want to rely on us, let's say on waiting for us to implement that integration, or if they want something very custom to integrate with their own systems, the API is definitely the way to go. Because we would be providing a generic integration, of course, to cover up 90% of use cases. But if a customer wants to do a deeper integration with their systems, the API is definitely a very powerful tool to do that.
Yeah, 100%. We actually had a discussion earlier, internal meeting, about integrating with the new Operation Center API with some communication desk software, where every time a call comes in, like a 911 call or 112 call, 999 call comes in, it automatically creates an incident in incident management, and so you just click straight into the incident.
Charles, is asking if we can play with the API. Absolutely. Contact our support, our help team, please, Charles. And we'll give you all the documentation to try out the API. Yeah.
Right. Jim, ability for all members to print attendance sheets regardless of their permission level. Oh, I've heard of this before, and I thought we'd done that. This is I'm going with this. I'm going to take a big guess here. This is Jim in Massachusetts, and I thought we'd released this. Yeah, it is Jim Dennehy. Yeah. So I thought we've done this, but we can check afterwards that you used to have to be a member plus to print the PDF for attendance on an activity. And because there's no difference between the printout and the data on the printout and the screen for a normal member, I think we've enabled that to be normal member. So maybe we could check that and let Jim know if we have done it, because I thought we had. Okay, let's see here. We've a comment in from Gary. I know Gary had a big exercise yesterday. I hope it went well. We'd love to see an update of the monthly reports in Team Manager. Yes, customize the content. Gary, you've sent this in before, and I'm going to say probably 2 years ago, requesting that we could do this. So sort of more of a layout builder, turn on or off different modules within the annual and monthly reports within TM. So they can kind of customize it, add in logo, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is it. It is definitely would definitely be a very powerful tool, and I think we discussed this internally for quite a long time. I think we have to understand better how to provide it in a simple way so that users can use it. Even a user with very little experience in analytics, data analytics, can generate good reports. Because usually the problem with these tools is that the more power you provide, the more difficult they are to use, right? In fact, at some point we actually evaluated an integration with some powerful analytics tool, but then we said, this is probably not what we want for our users. We should really provide something simple, single-click report generation. So I think there is a good balance there that we can find between providing something that is powerful and easy to use at the same time, and that's, I think, requires some discussion. But that's definitely something I'd like to see in Team Manager.
Yeah, if you can send some more details about what you'd like to see in it, it would be
I
super
think
helpful.
we've got a ticket for that. I'd say we could find that there's definitely something on reporting. Looking through our customized monthly reports. It is Gary. You opened that ticket in 2019. It's number 2824, Gary.
Yeah, got it.
The and that's what I say. It's 3 years, not or nearly 4 years ago, not 2. Add team logo to the header. Eliminate some pages. We don't need to display the tags. Add more details to the activities, such as summary line, the costs tag. So yeah, quite a customization of it. So I think we'd have to have it so you can turn on or off different columns. We'd still have to select bits of it, but totally get that. And I think people value those monthly and annual reports more than we maybe appreciate. That they're very useful to have, and being able to customize them will make a huge difference.
Another question.
On just before we go on Jim's suggestion, I think Thierry, you found that that's the PDF list.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so you've got that, and you think that's done.
Yeah, it should be done. So if it doesn't work, it would be a bug, but it should have been done.
Perfect. Katie, would you mind just dropping GP a note with this so he sees it and he can get back to Jim maybe and let him know? That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, so we can double check that, make sure it does work as expected.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Great. Where are we at? John. John, I think you're there. Your team manager is my guess there, if I've got that right. So granular access controls, yeah, Channel Islands air search, granular access controls, permissions.
This is something we've started work on. If it's for team manager, we've started. So we've started work on it. It's quite a big piece of work. So Mario, I think you might be able to a little bit more details about when we expect to actually get out to users, but this is relatively like medium short term, I would say, since the work has started.
Yeah, correct. We are at the moment. So Team Manager is going through a set of transformations at the moment to modernize the platform, and in particular, there's going to be a new version of the public API. It's version 3 at this point. So we are waiting for that to be feature complete before starting the work on the access control. Just because we don't want to do things twice, right? We want to stabilize the new version of the API and then actually start working on the new access control system. So I think we should start working on this sometime, like working on this like the biggest part, because we started working on it, but really like we didn't get yet to the biggest chunks, I'd say, of the project.
So there's been a lot of background work of kind of an infrastructure work, which is already kind of already being used actually for some of it, but custom users don't really see the change that it does, even if under the hood it has changed.
Correct. So the biggest chunk of the work probably would be started, I'd say, towards the end of this year. And then, as Thierry said, this is a huge endeavor, like every single action, every single function will need to use the new authentication system essentially. So, and I don't know, I don't have, like, we probably have thousands of those actions to cover.
Yeah,
so
it's thousands.
yeah, so it's gonna take some effort, but yeah, this is in the plans actually. So this is in the plan already, and on top of our list. So
good news.
Yeah.
New sign-in experience. Will it be possible to allow the use of Remember Me like the old one? A lot of our members are leaving the site open in the background on their phones and have to log in every time now.
Open in the background.
It's Tom Atkinson, York Rescue Boat.
So that's definitely a bug, like, because by default, that Remember Me check should be checked essentially. So by default, you shouldn't log in, you shouldn't sign in every time. Tomo, can you please contact our help desk and so we can get more information? And because this sounds like a bug, it shouldn't happen.
So if they're signing in and are checking the Remember Me option, which is still there, it should remember you for how long?
So is the Remember Me? So I think with the new authentication system, it depends now if it is on the new authentication system or not, because that's my feeling is that we haven't changed that part. So Tom might be actually already on the new authentication system. So we need actually more information. So if you haven't done it yet, Tom, please send an email to our help desk.
Right. Okay. Let's see here. InReach and APRs. Okay, so InReach is Garmin InReach, right? GPS device. Thierry, can you just describe an InReach for people who don't know it?
Yeah, so it's a satellite communication device. It's used a ton by hikers or by anyone who really works in remote areas, because it uses satellites to send text messages, call for SOS if needed, but also just share your position. And so what I understand the request there is to be able to use the position that's relayed by the InReach. And I would mention that there's some other devices from, I think there's Spot is an old one. I think Motorola also has some that kind of allow sharing the position, and so they like to get that shown on the map. In that case, in Operations Center.
Thierry's background is at Pennsylvania Mountain Rescue, hence the link there. And APR's automatic packet radio. What is it? No, let me get that right. APRS.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the abbreviation actually stands for. Yeah,
automatic
but so
reporting system.
That's for the digital radios, basically.
Yeah. So taking in a feed back to a local server at the site. So whoever's received, so the base vehicle takes in a feed, and that pushes that feed to the internet effectively to share everyone's position back across apps. Mario, well, myself and Mario actually went for a hike on Friday. Went up, Dublin Mountains, up to Braddon, Ferry Castle, and around Three Rock, I think, was it? Around Ticknock. We were actually talking exactly about this. It was a moving strategy meeting, and we were talking about the mobile app on instant management, taking in this information. Is there any update on that, Mario, since, or you? I saw you guys talking about it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, since there has been a lot of requests around being able to track personnel position on the map on Operations Center. So we might actually do this earlier than we than we expected. So we increased the priority significantly. There might be a window to implement user tracking, location tracking, probably in 2023. So we're talking about only real-time tracking. So there's not going to be any history of where the user has been. So it's going to be only real-time. But I think that is going to be already a huge improvement for our users. So InReach and APRs, I think those will follow up. So it depends actually on. So the first step is definitely releasing position tracking using our apps. Okay, so then we will definitely take a look at InReach and APRs and other devices. But I think the first step really is just first using our app, and then look at other devices. Probably, as I said, there's a good chance now that we increase the priority that we'll get location tracking this year.
Because for the position history, you mentioned that it would not be included there, because that's already something that can be done for history using the GPX, where you can save your tracks directly from your Garmin device or from your other device, and upload the GPX. So that's kind of a different feature to have that shown.
We already have that, yeah. So you can already import the GPX files. So
it's definitely useful though that if we do it automatic, where you know everyone switches on their location and you see where they were at what time. Like it's a great audit trail of knowing who was near a certain thing at a certain time.
Right.
I totally understand that. It's just it's the next stage of it. And do you think taking in a feed, if people wanted to point something like their radio system that's got positions, would it be an API endpoint they hit or something like that with the location?
Yeah, I expect it to be an API endpoint. That's probably the easiest thing we can do. Just provide an endpoint with some. We'll have to figure out what type of authentication, but we wanted to make it very simple anyway. But yeah, it would be just an endpoint. So users actually can implement their own integration for any device they want, really.
Excellent. We'll jump back here to Charles saying they have to use Windows shared devices. And this is kind of the last piece, unless we get some more comments coming in. I think we're about to wrap this session up. But what can we recommend people? So they have a shared device, and they need to hand it around different people. I mean, it's keep the remember me unchecked. What else is good there?
So are we talking about, both mobile and desktop, I guess, right? I'm wondering if there is room for a new feature, some improvement there. Because for the new authentication system, for example, we don't have an option to actually don't remember the user. The user will be remembered for 30 days after they used the product the last time. So it's a rolling window, okay? Unless they are SAML users, in that case, the rolling window is just 7 days. It's much shorter, just for increased security. So we might consider to include that remember me option for the new authentication system and for operations center as well. Jerry, the option, can't remember if that option is still there for Team Manager, but probably we removed that as we transition to the new authentication system as well, right?
Yeah, with the new sign-in screen, the option is not really accessible anymore. So we would have to add it in the new login screen.
Yeah, so that sounds like what we have to do then. Yeah, otherwise the alternative is just for people to explicitly log out, sign out.
But is there any setting we can or that can be set or remotely set on a shared device that might automatically time people out or anything like that.
Yeah, I think on shared devices, you could configure the browser to basically purge cookies when the browser is closed. That would probably be a good thing. It's which would have to be done by each user on their own device. So this is not something to do on our end. But at least as an immediate solution to that, that might
Because
be a way.
we see this, they've got a shared tablet or a shared device or laptop in a vehicle or in a warehouse that they use for equipment or for notes during an incident. And they, at the moment, a lot of users have shared logins for that. They'll call truck one is the user, and the password is unfortunately written on a post-it note and stuck on the screen of the
Yeah, which is
So-
something we try to discourage because it makes
absolutely.
it hard. It makes it hard for the audit trail to know who actually did
For
it.
sure. So we want everyone signing in as themselves, so you know which user, is in the audit trail, who was it, who logged the information. It'd be best practice. And so, yeah, I think there's a need there for something where either the device or the browser or something like that can be configured that the minute it's closed or a timer or something like that throws out the user or gets them to reconfirm it's still them.
Mm-hmm. For our mobile apps, we have the option to protect the apps with the biometric authentication.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be another option. So the actual user who set up the biometric authentication would have to be there. Yes. Now the point is that the user would have to set up a different.
But the biometrics on the device, not the
Correct.
not the.
So it might not work actually. There might not be enough. So
yeah. So for the Windows use case, I think the immediate solution for them would be to just have the cookies being deleted as soon as the session, the browser is closed. But probably that we would have as soon as possible, really, to re-add that keep me logged in or shared device setting. That would give a much shorter expiration time to the session.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Thierry, Mario, thank you so much for joining me on that. And a special shout as well, Duncan, Charles, David, Gary, John, Tom. You made it a live session, which was fantastic, really enjoyable. And thank you as well to Amy and Katie, who are pulling the levers in the background, making sure everything works so smoothly. It's fantastic. Looking forward to joining you at our next live stream. I've already forgotten what it is, but I think it's in a week or so. It's coming up pretty soon. And we've also got some in-state webinars coming up too for, I think New Jersey is our first one. If you're based in New Jersey and want to see how other New Jersey users are operating, we've got a private webinar on the 10th of August. Amy's in my ear saying 10th of August is the date for the New Jersey webinar if you want to sign up for that. John's in the beach in Barbados. John, I'm glad we're your entertainment on your deck chair. All right, great. Thank you.
Can't about that, but
thank you, everyone. Talk to you all soon. Bye bye.
Hi, thank you.